man, I love it when life is hard, when troubles come my way, when there's more than I can handle is on my plate. I just love it. That's what Scripture tells me, right? I'm supposed to feel, yay!
No.
No?
I do not feel that
Did I
way.
misunderstand that?
No, you did not.
Oh.
You did not, but I don't like it. I don't like it when troubles come my way. I don't know about you, but I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I was lying, if you didn't notice. I'm BJ Garrett, the liar.
No. Denise Bowens. So good to have y'all today. But we're looking at the book of James. And James kind of tells us that's kind of that's how our perspective should be. But I get it.
Yeah.
And I do understand it and I agree with it, just like you do.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have that perspective when troubles come.
Yeah. All right, so let's unpack that. You want to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so James chapter 1, verse 1 says, "This letter is from James, a slave of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm writing to the 12 tribes, Jewish believers scattered abroad. Greetings." Verse 2 says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you..." Yay! And we'll read this one more verse here. "For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." So, want to just stop there for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot just in those 3 little verses right there.
I mean, you can even back up to, like this is a slave of God. And we did a video. If you've not watched, you can go back. I don't know what episode it was, but where we did a whole thing about being the slave of God. And like that's not something that you would normally think to celebrate.
Right.
But what an honor it is even to think that we have that protection of being a slave to God.
Right.
So,
yeah. And the thing is, it's kind of like when we talked about it before, I think we were talking maybe about Paul then. And he says a bondservant to Christ, which is the same thing as a slave to Christ. But the difference is here, they're choosing to be a slave of Christ. Like that's their attitude is, I belong to Christ and I want to do whatever he tells me to do. If he says run, I'm going to run. If he says stop, I'm going to stop. If he says go, whatever he's going to tell me to do, I'm going to serve him and do whatever he says, even if I don't like it or I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. And so for a person with that mindset to come down here and say, now, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles come your way, consider it great joy because it's an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense if you're following Christ. Like, because we do. I mean, you think about it. When, I just know in my life personally, actually, our testimony, we would not be sitting here right now if we had not grown from our trials and our tribulations and our troubles, bad choices that we both made on our own.
Yeah.
Like during that time, though, that's where God steps in and he brings people, and that's where we grow.
Well, and we're looking at 2 different things, too, though. Like, so pre-Jesus and then post-Jesus. Like, in context, this is written to believers.
That's true.
This is...
Yeah, you're right.
To Christians.
Yeah, he says brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And, but what I love, and this is so easy, is, it's not if trials come, if troubles, if something happens that sucks pickles happens, then this is what you do. It says when. Because something is going to happen. We live in a fallen world. And was it something, were we listening to something together? I don't remember, but it was basically the whole concept was, I think when we were talking about the Levi Lusko stuff, but when we were talking about how you endure your trials can point people to Christ. Or, I mean, I'm kind of, this is a B.J. Garrett paraphrase, but how you endure your trials can point people to Christ or point them away from Christ.
Yeah.
And when people see you going through the fire, through the junk, being refined, are they like, wow, look at her faith? Or, wow, that is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, with how do you endure your trials?
Yeah.
And I wish I could say that I had it together because I love Jesus so much. And, I do full-time ministry and I go to church when the doors are open. And I know You gonna get burned because I'm lying again. But I don't, and sometimes I do better than others, and usually it's kind of, unfortunately, it's often when I'm kind of beginning to see God's hand. Because in the midst of the trial, you don't always see God's hand, right? So it's as I'm kind of coming out of it and things are starting to make sense, or I'm like, oh, I get it. That was what you were doing.
Yeah.
That's what I was needing to learn. This is the good that's coming out of this. And I have not always celebrated through the trial.
Yeah, me either. You know, the funny thing is like I literally just left with someone who was at a court, you know, and just the way different people handle different things. I've gone to court with many people in the past, and thank the Lord, I have not been the one, you know, going to jail or whatever. Should have.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that too. Only because we didn't get caught.
Only by the Lord's hand protection. But, you know, like when you're in that setting in a courtroom, it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, and that trial is there, and that's a physical trial, like in that way. I know I'm looking at it a little bit differently, but what you listen to though, and your perspective makes a big difference on how you think it's gonna. Yeah. How do you believe the outcome's going to be? Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. My words get jumbled up there, but like you can hear the littlest thing and just run with it. That, oh my gosh, you know, all this bad stuff's gonna happen, and da 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 da, and you know, I'm ruined for life.
Yeah.
But if you stop and listen and you pray, God can show you all the good stuff, and then it's not. Yeah, it depends on the voices you hear when you're going through that trial, that tribulation, these troubles that come. It's perspective. Consider it an opportunity for great joy because your faith is going to be tested. It's time to grow. It's all about perspective. I seen a guy in the elevator this morning. First, we were at a hotel. I get on the elevator and I say good morning to this guy. He's like, good morning. I said, how's your day going today? He said, well, we're about to find out. And I seen he had a uniform on. I said, oh, headed to work, huh? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I bet it's going to be a great day. And he said, it sure is. And I said, it's all about perspective in it. And he said, that's all this life's about. And you got to have the right perspective.
That's good.
That was the first conversation I had this morning. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's what James is trying to tell us here. It's about perspective. Consider it. Why is it great joy? Because it's an opportunity to grow closer to the Lord.
Yeah.
But if we're not looking at it in that way, we just get all caught up in the, oh, poor pitiful me. And what do you say? It sucks like pickles. Is that what you say all the time? It just sucks. Don't suck like pickles. Sucks pickles. Obviously, it's not my saying. It's hers. This sucks pickles.
He did say it one time, though. It was so funny. I think it was when we were in Galveston promoting Unashamed or something. And you said something about, that sucks pickles. And I was like, I win.
The other day is giving me a hard time saying good vibes. I was thinking about that the next morning. I started laughing. You were like, did you just say vibes?
So funny.
Anyway, that has nothing to do with any of this. Thank you for joining us. Let's move on.
You know, that was funny. The good vibes. That was funny. Okay. All right. We're working on blooper reel stuff, apparently. No. Okay. So my little notes here says, we can't really know the strength of our character until we see how we react under pressure.
Oh.
I think I see this picture of, you don't see them very often anymore, but like an old school, what's the pressure pot, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it starts whistling, like a little thing goes, I can't whistle. You know, thank you. Yeah.
Let me help this out.
Thank you. But like and until, like, I don't know, just the way that I don't know why I said that, but there's the whole, I just picture this pressure pot and how things inside, you put things in this pressure pot and they're gross and raw and not good, you know, or not sterile, and you put them under this pressure and it's hard, it's hot, and it's fiery, but when they come out, it's the way you want it. It's tender and flavorful and all the things. I don't know. Is that weird?
Yeah. No, I'm just sitting here thinking, you know, it's like, I wanted to use this, probably isn't even a word. It's bendable. because you said it's fresh and it's tender, it can move now. But
Yeah.
when we're trying to do it all of ourselves, we're anxious and we're tight and we're stuck. But when you get under that pressure and the Lord's working on it,
Yeah.
when He gets done with you, then you're like, it's called peace.
Yeah. Peace. Good vibes.
Good vibes. I don't know if we're leaving this in here or if I'm going to have to cut this
You
out.
can't be cut just because you learned how to get fancy with your editing software. You can't be cutting out all the good stuff. Y'all tell her.
Peace. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. All right. So verse 4 says, so let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. Did you just read that?
No.
Okay. Because that's exactly what you just described in that pressure pot.
Yeah.
When you're fully developed, you'll be when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. When you make it through the pressure pot,
It's good.
you'll be usable. You won't need
Moldable.
anything.
Bendable.
Yeah.
You don't need anything.
No. That piece is there. All right, let's look at verse 5.
Okay.
You want to read?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I love this one. I do this often. I really do. I haven't exactly been answered the way that I think I should be answered clearly, but I do pray this often. Okay, verse 5, James 1 says, if you need wisdom, ask our generous God and He will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. For when you ask Him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do.
I love that.
I do too. Except for I don't want to be like a unsettled wave.
I don't either, but I have been many times. Like I'm sure on who my Savior is. I am sure about the Word and all. But then sometimes when I'm under pressure, or when things aren't going the way I think it should, then I am unsettled because I'm trying to fix it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work on it. And it's until I let go and let the Lord mess with it that I realize,
Yeah.
I don't know. I get unsettled though, for sure.
Yeah, me too. And I love the beach. I think I just always go whenever I'm at the beach. I think that, and that's why I'm so excited that we're doing Unashamed in Galveston. But anytime I'm at the beach, there's so many scriptures that refer to the waves, and in good ways and bad ways. But like it just has such a beautiful picture of the chaos that sometimes is going on in my world, and then you see like the picture of, Jesus walking on the water with the waves, and his way is perfect and peaceful. And when we can keep our eyes on Him, and specifically in this, but when we keep our eyes on Him, those waves die down, and it's not chaos.
Right.
And it's good.
That is good. And when you were talking about that, it's like, it's so peaceful to sit outside and watch the waves and to listen to it. It brings peace. It's like calming.
Yeah.
But that exact same water, if you get caught up in it and over your head, it is not peaceful at all.
Yeah.
We were I don't know if I told the story here or not before, but we were in California one time. I lead Celebrate Recovery, and all of our leaders were there for a Celebrate Recovery summit thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter why we were there. But we had like a half a day to go play. And we went to a beach there, and we went out into the water to take a picture. Not to go swimming, not to do anything. We left all of our stuff way on up and got everything out of the way, and we all get out there, and we're just going to stand in the water for somebody to take a picture of us. And as we're getting out there, we're getting the picture, and we look, and the waves have come, and they've gone up so far. And I see my bag, and other people's bags are going out. It's got my billfold, and the church credit card is in that billfold, and it's going out like it's a ways away. And man, we run up there, and we're trying to grab everything, and I see that, and I go out there, and I'm trying to get it, and one of the people that was with us was out there with me, and I keep trying to get this bag. I'm a really good swimmer, and the water wasn't but waist high where I was. But I would turn to go get it, and as soon as I would turn, a big wave would come, and it would knock me down. And it kept me on the ground, and every time I tried, by the time I'd get my footing to get up, another wave would come in. And I mean, I was just constantly getting knocked down. And then Anthony that's standing there, I'm like looking at him, and finally he just grabs me and yanks me up. And we get back. I have scars on my leg to this day where the sand took all the skin off the side. When I was in that water and it was crashing and hit me, I never could get my footing. I could not stand up. I could not fight against it. It wasn't calming at all. But sitting up there at the beach house, listening. So again, it depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of
perspective.
It's perspective.
It's perspective.
It is.
I love that. Yeah, that's good.
When we're caught up in our troubles, it doesn't seem like it's a time of growth. It seems like it's a time of chaos.
Yeah.
And we don't have any control over it, I think. That's why it makes it so hard.
Yeah, and even just that same kind of idea is when the same storm, the same waves can be relaxing, can be soothing, can be peaceful, it can be calming. But when the storm comes, I think about a hurricane, and it's that gentle breeze, salt, sand in your toes, and all of that we joke about. All of a sudden, the 120-mile-an-hour winds, it's no longer peaceful and calming.
Right.
So, depends on what's happening around you.
Yeah. But he's telling us we're to be we're not supposed to be that way. We're just to be loyal. We're to be steadfast. We're to consider it great joy. What about y'all? What do you do when your storms come your way? What do you do when you feel unsettled, when chaos comes? I think all of us can probably feel a little lost sometimes. I think the difference is sometimes you turn to Christ quickly, and sometimes it takes you a little longer.
Yeah.
And I know I turn to him a lot quicker now than I used to, but that doesn't mean I always do.
Yeah.
I rely on him more now than I did when I first became a Christian, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think so too. And I think that the closer that I get to the Lord and just on this journey of, being a Christian, I like to believe that I'm much quicker to recognize that the storm is spiritual warfare, that God is in control, that I can still be happy through the storm. I don't have to succumb to the pressures of the storm. But that doesn't make the storm not painful. It doesn't make the storm not real. Like, what you're dealing with, what happens in life is hard. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. I think it just, again, kind of going back to those first couple of verses, is that while you're in that pressure cooker, while you're in the storm, just don't give up. Don't throw in the towel, and recognize that you have a holy God that loves you and that isn't causing the storm necessarily, but he won't waste the storm that you're going through.
Right. Yeah. Very true. I agree. I don't know. I was just sitting here just wondering if there's somebody watching this right now and you're like in this just huge storm right now and you're trying to fix it, and you're doing all these things to try to make it right, and you're wondering why you're not at peace. Yeah. You're wondering why God allows these things to happen. We don't know why God allows things to happen, but he does, and we just have to trust that he knows what he's doing. But I think all of us, if you know Christ as your Savior, I think we could all go back to a time that we can, of times of chaos, where we can see what we learned out of it.
Yeah.
There's always something to learn.
There's always. Hindsight's always 2020. You can always look back and find stuff. But in that, and that is talking truly from pre-Jesus, post-Jesus, middle of right where I'm at. But I love what you just said. And if you are the one that's in that storm, I just want to encourage you to change your perspective. Yeah. Even if that means physically getting out of your dark bedroom, change your perspective. If that means getting out of your pajamas for the first time in days or months, turning on some lights, opening up your window shades. Take that first step to change your perspective, and really, and I'm not one that thinks you have to like get actually physically on your knees, but there is something powerful about getting physically on your knees. Now, use a pillow, especially if you're at home. Like, get someplace that you can have something to help lift you up. But get on your knees and just, even if you don't know the words to say, just cry out to the Lord. And you might be surprised at how that the wind of that storm that you're in begins to calm just a little bit. And even if it doesn't, for some reason, there's just a peace that comes that even in the midst of this hurricane of life, that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
It's like that eye of the storm.
Yeah.
Right? In the center of that tornado, right? Is it the tornado and the hurricane both? Is that right? Or is that, I don't know. But there's there's that eye of that tornado that it says, you hear, you have all this sound and the loudness of it and all the devastating things that are taking place. And then it gets to this point where it's just quiet.
Quiet and still.
And still. Mm-hmm. And it's like.
Yeah, that's the tornado.
Yeah, and then it hits you again, But it's something about, like you said, that getting on the knees, that sometimes that just by the time you get up, it's still twirling around. The chaos hasn't changed, but what's changed is, like you said right there, the peace comes in your heart that you're like, okay, God's got this. I don't like it, what's going on, but I can't control it, but I'm going to trust that the Lord has it.
I don't like it. I can't control it. I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. Very true, yeah.
But God is in control.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust Him in that process. Mm-hmm. And you can still have joy through that chaos.
Absolutely. I remember a time being in my bedroom and something was going on, and I'd gotten up that morning and I was trying to just go on about my day in the house, but I just could not get the situation off my mind. And I had some worship music playing. I was just trying to fight through, just keep going, And I ended up going in my room, and I did. I knelt down beside my bed, and I started praying with my hands up here on top of my bed, But then I found myself bent all the way down on the floor. And then in a few minutes, I was just laid flat out on my stomach. And I just cried, and I just prayed. And then the thing is when I got up, the situation hadn't changed at all.
Yeah.
But my heart had changed completely. I had a complete peace. It's like the Lord said, chaos is happening, but you came to me.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the peace. I'm the only one that can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so often we turn to all these other things in life trying to find the peace.
Yeah.
Whether it is, or we don't want to do anything at all, like you were talking about, and we don't know what to do. So we just go to the room, shut the door, go to sleep, and act like it's not there, but it's not going anywhere. It's still there.
It's still there.
My sponsor used to tell me, and in recovery, you hear it all the time. She said, fight through the pain no matter what. Fight through the pain no matter what. You have to take that next step and just get through. You will get through it.
Pretending there's not conflict around you does not make the conflict go away.
Absolutely not.
So we're not one, we're out of time, right? Our family is not one for brushing things under the rug. And sometimes that means that we have some explosive, moments within our family, but we deal with stuff. And I would much rather have a child or me or whoever explode for a minute and deal with the hurt or whatever's going on than to just sweep things under the rug and pretend like it's okay, because that is a whole different kind of storm.
Yeah, and that's something that I've just learned over the last few years, because talking about the issues or whatever, that's something we didn't ever do. Everything just got pushed underneath the rug, and you just keep on moving on, and but in recovery, I was kind of, I want to use the word forced, but I wasn't forced. I had to choose. It was mine if I was going to do it or leave or whatever, my choice to make. But in recovery, look, to get through, you got to find the root of the problem. And the only way to get to the root of the problem is you got to talk it out.
Yeah.
And so I have learned how to talk about things and talk about issues. And now I'm at a point, I still have trouble talking about things sometimes, but I may put it off for a day or two because I don't want to deal with it. I still want to live in that denial stage like it ain't happening sometimes. But I'll tell you, I'm much better at saying, hey, is there something wrong? Let's talk about that. Like, let's get it out. Did I offend you? Like you don't like me no more. or if I know I've done something, going to somebody and going, I just realized what I did and I'm so sorry. You know, I handled that wrong. But my problem is when there's some kind of deep something there, I usually have a tendency to hold on to it for a little bit before okay, let's talk about this. You know, I don't get rid of it as quickly as I should.
And sometimes I think, I agree, I do the same thing, and that's bad. But I think that sometimes part of that, and I could be wrong, is we have, I mean, hopefully, we don't just have to automatically spit things out. Oh, you made me mad.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes it's just simple like, okay, I'm being an idiot. She didn't mean to make me mad. She's my friend. She loves me. That was a joke.
Yeah.
Whatever. And my friend has no idea what she said somehow triggered some idiotic response in my brain and my heart to do something. So it's not always bad to sit on it for a minute.
Right. No, you're right.
And process through it. But when it doesn't go away, when you've processed through it, then as quickly as possible, you do need to address it.
To me, I just really feel like in most situations, if something bothers me right then and there, really I shouldn't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not normally going to come out the way that it should.
Yeah.
And I do need a minute to process it. And sometimes I just let it go completely and be like you were talking about. That was just stupid. That was all on me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's why the Bible tells us to be slow to speak, and slow to anger, and quick to listen, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly why it talks about, we're going to get to it in another week or two, but about controlling the tongue.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite videos. Maybe it will be a favorite video. It's one of my favorite scriptures. I use it a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. Hey, y'all, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel.
And turn on your notifications.
Yes, please.
I didn't know that was a thing. You can subscribe and not notify so that, well, it looks good on our end that we got a subscriber, but then you don't get notified when we have a video or new content. So you got to put those notifications on.
And look, you don't always have to watch it, you know, right then and there when it goes off, but it's just a reminder that it's on there. And it just helps us to be able to look and we're able to see what people like and what people don't like. And so, yeah, if you would please. Okay, I'm going to try and get this. Okay, ready?
Yep.
I found out what my hang up is, so I'll explain it in a minute. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Is that right?
Well, hey,
okay, maybe not.
So my grandson doesn't ad share. He just said, and this all came from a long time ago. My grandson created his own YouTube channel.
Okay.
And so he says, Nana, you got to like and subscribe.
Okay, well.
Like and subscribe.
Okay, well, I was going to tell you my hang up is that I'm saying 3 things and I'm only doing 2 things with my hand.
Well, because you're
like, share, and subscribe. I want another hand action to go in there.
I mean, you can share.
Like and subscribe. Share. Comment.
Do all the things.
All the things for us. Help. We need help. Seriously. Like and subscribe. Hey, we'll see y'all next time.